The reports of my death have been greatly exaggerated. If you remember, 9 years ago, I was supposed to act as MC for our 41st reunion. I was suddenly told I only had a few weeks or months to live, so we did not come back. The doctor who misdiagnosed that was buried 4 years ago. And Kathleen still has to put up with me. Mrs. Pape has asked me to complete the height and weight charts for your permanent record. We're going to start right here with Glenda. Here's the scale. Okay, here we go. We'll call these. Now that is a very brave lady. Congratulations. We're very proud of you for that. I remember in the fall of, I believe it must have been 1956 when we started 8th grade. When we did this, you went into a room, they weighed you, measured you, called out your weight and height. I mean, today they would have a team of psychiatrists into the school to evaluate people. I know I put lead sinkers in my pocket, and I weighed in at 102 pounds, 5 feet 2, and I had an even smarter mouth back then than I do now, and I got the crap kicked out of me regularly. And I think it was good for me, because it made me tougher later, because Dick R. just threw me up against the locker a couple of times. I had to come here. I mean, it was good for me. Because once you left high school, there isn't anybody going to protect you, so it was probably the best thing for me. I want you to know that about 2 weeks ago, I got a call from the Shell Rock City Council about an incident that happened in the fall of 1960. If you remember from the 20-year reunion, the Boyd building sent over an item of lost and found from the ladies' room after one of the youth events. And I don't know if these are yours, but if you remember leaving them in the ladies' room, those will be harder to identify. But the management here at Centennial Oaks about 20 minutes ago told me of a lost and found item here in the men's room. These are going to be even harder to explain. So I don't know who was over in the men's room with somebody, but there they are. So. We also sent out those medical forms to everyone. Thank you for filling those out and returning them. We wanted you to carefully list all of your current conditions, your operations and sufferings, so that we could share them with everyone else. Cancer, stroke, heart attack, kidney stones, gout, arthritis, hemorrhoids, asteroids, depression, diabetes, osteoporosis, dementia, erectile dysfunction, erectile hyperfunction, high blood pressure, Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's, hearing loss, shingles, anemia. Oh shit, this is my list. We're very happy that all of you returned, and many of you who have lived around here might have read this in the Waverly paper a few years back. I saved the story. I wanted to share it with you. But one of our classmates was a farmer who decided he bought several sheep hoping to breed them for wool. And after several weeks he notices that none of the sheep are getting pregnant. So he calls Harp Platty, the local vet, and asks for help. And the vet tells him that he should try artificial insemination because it's cheaper. So our classmate didn't want to appear to be ignorant, so he wasn't sure what that meant, but he asked Har how he could find out if the sheep were pregnant. And Har said, well, the ones that aren't will walk around in the field and eat grass. The ones that are pregnant will lay down and kind of wallow in the grass. So, it's okay. He goes home, gives it some thought, and then tries to figure out what artificial insemination meant, and he begins to believe it meant he has to impregnate the sheep. So he loads the sheep in his Land Rover, drives them out into the woods, is with them for the afternoon, comes back home, goes to bed, gets up in the morning, looks out, the sheep are still just eating grass. He thinks, well, I'm going to have to do this again. So he loads them all in the Land Rover, drives out into the woods. This time he's with each one of them twice just for good measure to make sure it's effective. The next morning he wakes up, looks out at the sheep, and they're still just eating grass. None of them are wallowing. I wonder what's he going to do. He deduces that he's going to have to be more effective. This time he loads them up in the Land Rover, drives them out to the woods, finds a little more romantic area by the stream bed, is with them all day, comes home, goes to sleep, and in the morning he's so tired he can't even get out of bed when the alarm clock goes off. So he has his wife take a look out the window, and she comes back and says they're not wallowing in the grass at all. In fact, they've all climbed into the Land Rover, and one of them is beating the horn. I would like you all to close your eyes for a minute and just try to think back 51 years ago to that fall of 1960. And imagine you're out on that dark country road, and try to remember who you were in the back seat with. Because now we're going to have everybody stand up and identify themselves so you can remember who it was. And the way we would like to do this is we would like to pass the mic around, have everybody stand, say your name, introduce your spouse, and tell us what town or city you're living in. If you remember, at the 20-year reunion, we had 3 of the ladies stand up and say, and this is Bill, my wife, if you remember that. So we would like to get through this tonight without any men having to go through a sex change. That was quite an evening when 3 of you did it, not just one, but 3 of you did it. Now, in addition, tonight, after you stand, say your name, introduce your spouse, tell us where you're living. Please take one from this bag. This was given to us by the school board. And they're to give to every classmate. So please take one as you finished and then pass the mic on. Fred, would you help me with the cord here?